It's time to hand out some more season grades, and today it's Matt Duchene, who had another impressive regular season, but a playoff dud, and then a couple of unsung heroes in Sam Steele and Oscar Bäck.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And our 2024-25 season grades roll on this afternoon, this morning, this evening, whenever you're taking this podcast in. And we have a trio of forwards for you, including Matt Duchene. Yes, the man who just signed a brand spanking new contract last week. And then some of our two-way fourth line forwards that were heavily involved on the PK and chipped in some offense here and there, Sam Steele and Oscar Bäck. As always, play along with me in the comments below. I want to hear your letter grades. I want to see them and see if we match. Maybe we're far off. It's always a good time. I've enjoyed doing these so far, and we're going to start with Matt Duchene. I think it's a perfect way to begin this week of season grades. The man who, of course, just signed a 4-year, $18 million deal just last week. Well, Matt Duchene had one of the better seasons of his career, just point blank in the regular season. You can go back through his illustrious career, 82 points in 82 games, 30 goals, and 52 assists. That ranks second among point totals during his career, only bested in 21-22 when he had 40 goals and 86 points in 78 games with the Nashville Predators. And that was the only season that was better than last year for Matt Duchene. He was really good in the faceoff dot as well, 52.4%. But in the playoffs, 18 games played, 1 goal and 5 assists, 6 points. But his faceoff percentage was extremely good, 64.6%. I also found this a bit fascinating, a plus-minus of -16 for Matt Duchene, as well as Wyatt Johnston. Of course, Johnston got a lot of flack for this number, but Matt Duchene is in the same boat with a plus-minus of -16. And look, I know we don't put a lot of stock into that number because there's some factors that you have to take into account that lead to a number like that. But I think it's only fair, since Wyatt Johnston has caught a lot of flack for that number. Matt Duchene, I think, should get some of that as well for being a -16. But there was also some interesting nuggets I found. It was a high shooting percentage of his career at 19.7%. That led the Dallas Stars. His next closest was when he scored that 40-goal campaign in 21-22, 18.9%. Now, this is obviously fantastic at age 34 to have a shooting percentage at that point. He only had 152 shots on goal. When he had that shooting percentage of 18.9% during that 40-goal campaign, he had 228 shots. He only had 152 shots on goal this past season. Now, let's just factor in Matt Duchene's going to be around here for the next couple of seasons. So I think there should be some concerns about whether he can sustain that level of shooting, that shooting percentage, because this was a bit of an anomaly for him. And look, I know this isn't about future projections for Matt Duchene, but since we're on the topic of Dutchie and his new contract, I think it's something to look at. It was the highest shooting percentage of his career. He did lead the team in points. He led the team in assists. He led the team in power play assist during the regular season as well. He was very, very productive this past season, was a part of one of the more productive lines, and he also had to do it without Tyler Seguin for a large chunk of the season, and Mason Marchment missed a few months as well, so he was up and down the lineup. But I was thinking about this the other day too, and I didn't mention this in yesterday's episode when I discussed the Matt Duchene extension, but every team is looking for their 2C, right? Their second line center. Well, the Stars have a fantastic one at a phenomenal deal, and every team would want Matt Duchene at that number for that contract. I believe most other teams would, despite all the playoff duds and maybe some of the lack of playoff success. So I think when we look at Dutchy, and look, I'm guilty of it too. I'm not necessarily happy at all with what Matt Duchene has done in the postseason, and that factors into my grade here today. But at the same time, he has been really productive over the last few seasons. Yes, he's in his mid 30s, and we can expect maybe a bit of a decline. But as a second line center, he's really all you could ask for in a lot of ways. And he's not the strongest defensively. His defensive rating is minus 4.5. But look, the Stars are not necessarily asking him to be great at that. It'll be really intriguing to see how he fits in next season. Will he continue to play alongside Tyler Seguin? Mason Marchment is now gone as well. Now I'm getting a bit off track, but let's bring it back. His expected goals for at 5-on-5 during the regular season was second on the team at 57.72. He also created 546 scoring chances for. That was the highest among forwards during the regular season. Of course, that dropped quite a bit during the regular season in a lot of ways, but or during the postseason, I should say. But you can look at some of the advanced analytics for Matt Duchene, and it would tell you that he was a bit unlucky with his production in general. And I know that doesn't mean a lot at that time of year. Who cares? You just got to find a way. But his expected goals for 14.25, that was third at 5-on-5 for the Stars during the postseason, behind Rantanen and Harley. Look at his high danger chances created. Duchene was third with 61, behind Mikko Rantanen and Thomas Harley. So he was up there with some of the better players on the Stars during the postseason, but the numbers don't really reflect that, unfortunately. You look at the expected goals for percentage. He's up there at fourth at 57.54, behind Miro, Petrovic, and Bichel. And of course, they played a little less than him, but it's rather intriguing just to look at some of the advanced numbers, because it does show that he was creating chances. He was creating some offense, but he just wasn't bearing down. And I think for the most part, we saw that in the eye test. He was excellent at possession with the puck. He held on to the puck. He was making plays for himself and teammates. But when you get to that time of year, you just have to score. But Matt Duchene has never really thrived in the postseason during his career. I'm like, he's not putting up massive numbers, I should say. That may be a bit harsh, but in 69 playoff games, he has 37 points and 13 goals. Like, it's not spectacular stuff from, a guy that was a former third overall pick. It's not like he's just lit up the stat sheet come playoff time. He was a point per game sort of early in his career. His really best postseason was back with Columbus in 18-19. He had 10 points in 10 games. That was the most productive he's been. And he really hasn't gotten back to that point. And he's played with better teams, especially here in Dallas over the past couple seasons. And we all know he's been a part of some productive lines, but just hasn't been able to, I guess, maybe reap the benefits of some of his work. So his playoff numbers, again, just a goal and 6 points in 18 playoff games. It's just not good enough for your 2C as well. If we're going to tout him and praise him for what he did during the regular season, we also have to give him some flack, or I guess some critiques about what he's done in the postseason, and it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth. And again, it's this dilemma, because you look at Dutchy, like, my goodness, he's been incredible, but when push comes to shove in crunch time, it's just not there, and the Stars need him to be there, and I hope he can find some of that. I don't know if you want to bank on that. You don't want to bank on a 35-year-old next season to carry some of that load, but he just needs to chip in a bit more, and if he can do that, I think the Stars are going to be more than happy. But let's just take a look at the 2024-25 campaign. That's what we're here to discuss today. My my letter grade for Duchain, it's a B plus. I think you have to be fair, give him credit for what he did during the regular season. I think he's easily an A if he puts up 5 goals, maybe 5 goals, 8, 9 assists. I think he easily gets an A from me. But with his playoff production, he gets bumped down a letter grade. I'll give him a B plus, probably closer to a B than he is an A minus, but a B plus for Dutchie this past season. And we hope for better playoff performances moving forward with Matt Duchene. So there you go. Matt Duchene is now done. Let's move into a two-way forward. One of my favorites. I said it a couple of years ago. He's going to become a fan favorite quickly. I think he's been an absolute steal, heavily involved on the PK and plenty more. Yes, it is Sam Steele, and a fun little nugget for you as well, which I mentioned last week in a season grade. I'll be curious if you remember that. I'll tell you what it was in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids. It packs a protein punch, and they're delicious. It's like snack meditation when you crack open that shell. Go get you a bag at your local grocery store. Pick you up some, and it is a beautiful, nutritious snack. That's what it's about. It's a nutritious snack in the afternoon when you just need a little bit more energy to keep you going, maybe to finish out the workday, maybe for that long drive home in traffic. There it is. Wonderful Pistachios. You can munch along while you're driving home as well. It's a satisfying crack, and it packs that protein punch. Get snacking, get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. We now move on to Sam Steele, who scored one of the bigger goals during the postseason as well for the Dallas Stars. And man, I absolutely love me some Sam Steele. What a player he has become here in Dallas. And I've said it, I think, multiple times the last few seasons. I think it's time for him to be elevated a bit in the lineup and not just be stuck on that fourth line, so to speak. He may have the opportunity to become that third line center, possibly winger for the Dallas Stars next season, depending on what they do here over the next few months. But 79 games played this past season, 6 goals, 19 assists for 31 points, a faceoff percentage of 53.5%, had 18 games played, 1 playoff goal and 6 assists for 7 points, 54.8% in the faceoff dot. But that 1 goal was massive. That was in Game 6 against the Winnipeg Jets, which tied the game at 1 for the Stars after surrendering the first goal. And of course, Stars went on to win that game in overtime with a Thomas Harley goal. But a career high in assists, shots on goal, and faceoff percentage this season. His expected goals against was 34.25, which was 17th on Dallas and 3rd among forwards playing at least 70 games. So he was excellent defensively. And we know what you get out of Sam Steele. You get a really impressive motor. You get a hard worker. And a lot of times this season, he was a part of some of the better lines during some games throughout the year, right? That fourth line at some points was the Stars' best line in a lot of games, and it's not always productive, but boy, when it chipped in, it was nice to see. His defensive rating was plus 1.1 this season. This is via Hockey Stats Cards. His offensive rating was minus 6.6, but this is sort of where I think his role could be elevated, and he could be put in a role where he has more opportunities to score, because we have seen that a bit throughout his career. It's not like he lit up the stat sheet, but back in 22-23 at 28 points in 65 games, and that included 10 goals with the Minnesota Wild. I think if he gets elevated in the lineup, plays on more of a scoring speed line, he'll have an opportunity to do some damage offensively. But where he was excellent and where he thrived the most was shorthanded. At 4-on-5. He played the most shorthanded minutes of any other Stars forward in the regular season and playoffs. Yes, he was instrumental in the Dallas Stars PK, 148.48. So 148 minutes and 48 seconds at 4-on-5 on the PK during the regular season. He followed that up with more impressive numbers during the playoffs. And of course, he was a part of one of the best PKs in the entire NHL. The Stars hovered in the top 5 for the majority of the season. They actually were number 1 for a large chunk of the season as well. And that's where he did a lot of his damage. And that's where it shows up in his faceoff numbers as well. He was spectacular. He does a lot of the grimy, gritty work that can be unnoticed and goes unnoticed, but was a part of a very important facet of the Dallas Stars game. And that was just special teams in general. And he was fantastic. And he was in and out of the lineup at some points. He played 79 games, but I guess he was switched in and out of the lineup, in and out of different spots, I should say, a winger, a center. He's playing with Bäck. He was playing with Blackwell. And I just thought he was productive. I mean, 31 points for Sam Steele, I think is just really, really darn good. Or 25 points, excuse me. I put 31. He had 31 penalty minutes, which was a career high. But 25 points is not bad. And 7 points during 18 playoff games, I think is more than what you're expecting from Sam Steele. And this comes and leads me to my little nugget that I actually mentioned last week. But he was second on the Stars with 7 points at 5-on-5 during the postseason, behind Mikko Rantanen, of course, who was excellent for the first 2 rounds. But he was second on the team at 5-on-5 in points at 7, which I don't think is very good when you're looking at the Stars team as a whole. I don't think you want Sam Steele that high up the chart. I think that pretty much states how underwhelming the Stars offense was for a majority of the postseason run. But man, Sam Steele did his part. I love the type of player he is. He just goes about his business. You know what you're going to get out of him. He's just consistent. He's there. He shows up. He's reliable. He's available. You can put him anywhere in the lineup. He's a Swiss Army knife. Again, I think he should be tasked with some more minutes. He should be tasked higher up in the lineup at points. I think when the Stars were struggling, just because of what he's been able to do here in Dallas, and just what an unsung hero he's been on the PK and at 5-on-5 for Dallas. So Sam Steele gets a big, bolded, sparkly A for me. Just a giant A. Like I said a few seasons ago, going into the year when the Stars signed him, said he was going to become a fan favorite quickly. I don't know why Minnesota gave up on him. Look, I know he's not putting up incredible numbers, but that's not what I think Sam Steele is and what was going to be. But he is just a perfect fit for this Dallas side, and I think could play a big role next season here in Dallas, depending on how the rest of this offseason goes with cap constraints. He looks really good at a $2.1 million cap hit. I'm excited to see where he goes the next couple of seasons. Maybe a big year on the horizon for Sam Steele. But you look at his percentiles, his expected goals against, one of the best in the entire league. When you look via hockey stat cards, just where sort of he ranks. And yeah, the offense doesn't blow you away, but he scored a very, very important goal for Dallas this postseason, and was productive, especially in the faceoff dot. Really, really strong in that area. Just continues to get better, and Stars relied on him heavily, shorthanded, and he was brilliant. And you could see the Stars trusted him. Pete DeBoer and the staff, Alain Nazardine, he was out there more often than not, and he was getting the job done. So a big fat A for Sam Steele for his 2024-25 campaign. All righty. A little Sam Steele is now done. Let's go to one of his fellow line mates for the majority of the season. Why not the rookie Oscar Bäck? Let's grade what he was able to put together this past season, and we will do that in just a moment. After we get done with Mr. Bäck, I do want to wrap up some more news and transactions the Stars made last week, mostly referring to the Texas Stars and what they're doing for next season. But there is some interesting news on that front as well. But let's go to Oscar Bäck. An interesting season for the rookie, and he was talked about quite a bit from the Stars coaching staff to before the season about what to expect. And a lot of people said, I think Neil Graham, the Texas Stars head coach, and others, he is sort of Radek Faksa reincarnated in some ways. That's what you can expect. Like, he is a two-way center iceman. He's reliable. You trust him in his own zone, and whatever offense you get is whatever offense you get. And I think he lived up to that bill. 73 games, he had 4 goals, 12 assists and 16 points. I think he played a bit more than maybe a lot of us, or I think more Stars fans maybe were expecting going into the season, just because maybe some of the rookie ups and downs. But you have to also look at it as Oscar Bäck, not your typical rookie. He was, 24, 25 years of age. He had been seasoned in the AHL. So I think he was ready for the jump up. It was a bit more natural for him than someone maybe like Maverick Bourque, who was a scoring winger in the AHL, center iceman, whatever, and trying to find his way in that role. But played in 11 playoff games, wasn't in all of them. 0 goals, 2 assists, and 2 points, but 71% on the faceoff dot. So really, really strong in that area. And he was kind of used sporadically during the postseason as well. It was interesting to go back and look where he played in each of those 11 playoff games. He was in 6 of the 7 games in the first round against Colorado. He was in games 1 and 2 against Winnipeg. Did not see him the rest of the series. He played in game 1 of the Western Conference Final against Edmonton, and then he was in for both 3 and 4 for both losses in Edmonton against the Oilers. He averaged about 9 minutes of ice time. He actually played quite a bit during the Colorado series. He played 14 minutes one night in the 4-3 overtime win of game 2. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Stars were heavily penalized in that game, so he probably played some extra shifts on the PK, like 13:55 in game. This was game 6, I want to say, as well. He played some heavy minutes, but outside of that, we didn't see him very much. And then he kind of hovered and averaged around 9 minutes of ice time. Averaged 11 minutes and 42 seconds of ice time during the regular season. His 5.01 expected goals against this postseason was 3rd on Dallas. You can take it with a grain of salt. He didn't play in all 18 games, but also had the 4th highest forward minutes at 4-on-5. Had 106 minutes just north of that. That was 4th highest among forwards. And I think it says a lot about where he is as a player, as a rookie, to kind of step in and play a major role in one of the better special teams areas for the Stars on the PK. He was instrumental on that side of things as well. And I just think was just a really solid player for Dallas. I don't think he gave you more than you wanted. I don't think he gave you less. I just think he is just kind of a steady heartbeat player. And I think for a large chunk of his career, he'll sort of be that. His offensive rating -7.8, but his defensive rating +2.2. He's in one of the highest percentiles of expected goals against this season in the NHL at 25.28. And I think is just a solid, 4th line center for some years to come. I don't know what his role is going to look like in the future. I think the Stars, yes, would you like to upgrade? I think on a Stanley Cup winning team, maybe Oscar Bäck isn't your 4th line guy. Maybe he's closer to like your 13th forward that gets scratched here and there, but he was used pretty consistently throughout the season. And I don't have a lot of critiques about his game. Now, I did kind of look at Radek Faksa's career trajectory. Let's just kind of look at his career, because if we expect him to sort of become that, and for 8 years, Radek Faksa was a staple within the lineup. And His rookie season in 45 games, he had 12 points, so 5 goals and 7 assists, which I think is pretty eerily similar to what we saw out of Oscar Bäck. Now, when he played his first full season in Dallas, Radek Fox had 33 points and 12 goals. A good little leap there. His career best season was in 17-18. Of course, that's when the Stars were pretty good offensively. He had 33 points and 17 goals, and Radek Fox never saw those numbers again. He got close a few times, had a 15-goal, 15-assist season. But I think if Oscar Bäck turns into a Radek Foxa sort of career path, I think the Stars are going to be happy for the most part. Radek Foxa, of course, was traded last season at the end of his 5-year, $3.25 million cap hit. I think the Stars could possibly even sign Oscar Bäck long-term a bit cheaper than what Radek Foxa got after his rookie deal. Foxa got a $2.2 million contract AAV for 3 years. I think the Stars could possibly retain him for cheaper, depending on what happens. But again, I think if Oscar Bäck, his career lives in that kind of 30-point range, if he can give you double digits in goals in a regular season, that is great. But we all know he's just going to be stupid solidly defensively, and that's the name of his game. And you need those type of players as well in your lineup. So it was interesting kind of going back and just comparing Radek Fox's career trajectory and maybe give us an opportunity to see the projection of what Oscar Bäck could be moving forward. And also, he's got a couple of years still left on his contract, $825,000 per year, or he was signed at that. So a bit earlier in the season. So it's really, really, really good stuff and interesting to see moving forward for Mr. Bäck. But a solid season. I just gave him a B. I think for a solid season. Maybe that's a bit harsh, and he should get an A just because I feel like I've given a glowing report here. But I think a B is more than fair, and had a strong season, and it'll be intriguing to see what his improvement will be. But I'll give Bäck a solid B. So that will be my letter grade for Bäck, and that rounds out today's season grades on Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So in conclusion, Bäck a B, Steele an A, and Matt Duchene a B+. There you have it. Still have a few more forwards to go. We got Jamie Benn, we've got Maverick Bork, we have Evgeny Dodonov, we have Granlund, and Colin Blackwell before we finish this off, and then we'll get into just some defensemen as well. We're just going to do this when we can, of course, and there's going to be some more pressing news we'll have to get to some days, but I'm just going to roll through these just because I do enjoy reflecting and sort of giving my take on each of these respective players. Now, I did want to sort of end with a couple of transactions the Stars did make over the last couple of weeks as well. Benjamin Cross was signed to a 1-year, 2-way contract with Dallas a week ago. Remy Poirier also signed a 2-year, 2-way contract with Dallas last week. So that's both goaltenders for the Texas Stars. So they'll be under contract heading into next season. Also, Cameron Hughes, who had an incredible, very productive postseason for the Texas Stars, inked a 2-year, 2-way contract with Dallas last Friday. Some others to join him. Cole Lind, today actually, on a Monday when I'm recording this, Cole Lind signed a 1-year, 2-way contract with Dallas. So he will be staying next year. Had a really, really solid season. Of course, he came over to Texas in free agency last summer, had a very, very strong year. He's sort of a veteran. He's not really sort of, he is a veteran on that Texas Stars team. I thought I had a really, really strong camp last year, and I'm excited to see him in camp again this next year. But he is back on a 1-year, 2-way contract as well. So we'll try to keep you up with some of the Texas Stars, Dallas Stars news as we move along this off season. And that will put a bow on today's episode. I want to thank you as always for the love and support. Appreciate you making us a part of your day. I know there's a lot of options out there, and I appreciate all of you that come back and support this channel. Locked On Stars has grown so much over the last couple seasons that I've done this, and it's been a lot of fun and a lot of exciting times to come. And I just really enjoy doing this and talking Stars hockey every day. Nothing better than that. But please subscribe. Let me know in the comments below your letter grades for Duchain, Steele, and Bäck. And then enjoy the rest of your day, Stars fans. And we will see you tomorrow. So long.